Hi everyone, Christina Werner here with another mail art video for SimonsStamp.com. Today I'm going to be creating my envelope from scratch. So I'm using the We Are Memory Keepers 123 punch board, and I'm going to be using the measurements to create an envelope that will fit an A2 sized card. So I'm going to look on this chart here, and it says that my cardstock needs to be cut to 8 1/4, and the first scoring measurement will be 3 5/8. So I'm taking some cardstock and I'm cutting it to 8 1/4 square. And the cardstock I'm using today is some Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock. And I'm using this particular cardstock because I plan to do some Copic coloring. And I know that this cardstock works well with Copics. It will have some bleed through to the other side, but that's just the inside of the envelope, so it won't be visible in the finished envelope. Sliding it into this punch board, and I'm lining up the left corner at the 3 5/8 mark. Then I punched it by pressing down that punch at the very top, and then I use score line A with the bone folder going up to that area at the top. And I'm going to do those same steps 4 times as I rotate this piece of cardstock. And the way you know where to stop it when it's like after that first turn is that you line up the line that's already scored with the groove on the other side. So kind of watch when I turn the cardstock this next time, watch and see me kind of feel around and make sure that I have it in the right spot. So I'm going to kind of feel around right here, making sure it's in the right spot. And then I can feel that score line kind of fall into that groove, and then I know I'm in the right area. So I've gone around 4 times, and now I'm going to punch these sharp corners and make them rounded so it looks a little bit more finished. So this edge over here, this corner of the punch, is a rounder, and it is labeled on the punch board too, just in case you forget. And I just round all 4 of those corners. So I'm going to do a bunch of stamping on this using the stamp set from Mama Elephant called The Dog's Woof. I think it's so cute. They had a couple of other stamps that came out like this. They have ones with snowmen, with cats, and now they just come out with ones where it's just a bunch of bunnies. So it's perfect for Easter. But today I'm going to be using the dogs, and I'm using my MISTI stamp positioning tool so that I can stamp this large stamp multiple times to make sure that I get really solid lines. And because my envelope is bigger than the MISTI, it's hanging out the side, and I've taped it down inside the MISTI so that it stays in place. So I actually ended up stamping this large stamp 2 times, and after I stamped it the second time, I had really solid lines. The ink I'm using today is Intense Black from Simon Says Stamp, and this ink in particular works well with Copics, so that's why I'm using this ink. It tends to be kind of a pretty juicy ink pad, so I get a really good impression with this one. So I'm going to take some of the little individual stamps from that stamp set. I'm going to add a couple more dogs at the top. And I'm also going to stamp the little kind of star balloon or little star that they're holding up on a stick. I just thought that was really cute. So I'm going to remove this from my MISTI stamp positioning tool, and I'm going to peel off that masking tape. I put some masking tape below that fold so that I could stamp and it would protect the bottom flap. So I'm peeling that off, and now I have a nice clean edge. To finish off the line on that individual stamp that I added to the top of the stack of dogs, I used a Memento Tuxedo Black dual brush pen, and that particular marker or brush pen works well with Copics, so I'll be able to color over it. So these are the colors of Copic markers I'll be using today. I'm doing really simple coloring. I've done an example of this over at my blog, and I was particularly inspired by the design team from Mama Elephant. Quite a few of them have a similar coloring style with this particular stamp set and also the cat stamp set. So I thought it'd be fun to sort of mimic that idea, do kind of like striped sweaters on some of the dogs and do different spots around around their eyes, things like that. And I'm keeping the coloring really simple. I'm doing just flat washes of color or flat areas of color. I'm not really doing any shading. On this one poodle here at the top, or the fluffy dog, I did kind of have that aqua color fade down into the face, but that's really the only one where I had a little bit of shading involved. The rest of these are just all flat color. And I kept it to just that color palette because I wanted it to be really, really simple and easy and not get too complicated. There's a lot of dogs in this image, and I didn't want to be too fussy and have to color all of them individually. So I'm adding little pops of color. I put some little pearls on that dog up at the top, really fancy dog, and then I colored in their noses and things like that. I think it'd be really cute to add blushes on their cheek, a little bit of blush on their cheeks, but I decided not to do that today. So I've got all that taken care of. So now I'm going to do some ink blending to the top edge of this envelope. So I've masked off the 3 sides that would be affected to protect those flaps. And now I'm using some cracked pistachio distress ink and also the grid stencil from Simon. I'm going to ink blend that on with a blending tool, and I want it to be really subtle, have the color more concentrated near the top of the envelope, but still very, very soft. This area will be mostly covered by the postage stamps, so I'm not particularly worried about having no kind of blending streaks or having it be really, really smooth. I just wanted a little bit of texture. So I'm going to peel up this masking tape or this Post-it tape, and you can see that it has a nice sharp edge, and it'll be perfect right on these flaps on this envelope. So I'm going to actually put the envelope together after I've addressed it. So I'm taking my black pen here. This is a Pilot envelope addressing pen. It's waterproof. And I'm starting at the very bottom of the address and putting the postal code or zip code on first. I wanted it to nestle right into the group of dogs, so I'm working backwards as I address this one. And I'm also letting it be really whimsical and kind of kooky. I don't want it to be regimented or like all in one line. I want it to look very playful because I think this is a really playful image. The very last thing I'm doing is adding the recipient's name, and I'm actually going to thicken up this line by going over it one more time. Like I've mentioned in the past for these mail art videos, this address was used with permission. Christine thankfully gave me her address to use in a video. So thank you so much, Christine. I will get this in the mail as soon as I can. So I'm going to add a few little stars around this whole area, kind of some stars, and then I'm going to kind of do some crisscrosses, kind of like glistening, just so it's a little bit more whimsical. I think that looks fun. And now I'm going to put my return address on the back. This is my P.O. box. It's not my physical address or anything, so I'm just putting that on the back flap. And then to put the envelope together, I'm using some Copic Express-It tape, and I will put those 2 strips of adhesive on the bottom inside flap of the envelope, and then I can just fold up the sides of the envelope and then or fold in the sides of the envelope and fold up the bottom flap, and that assembles the envelope. Using my Teflon bone folder to get a nice fold on that top flap, and then I put some postage stamps on top. I'm going to thicken up the zip code on this just because I want to make sure that the zip code is very legible, that it stands out so that it'll be able to go through the mail without any problem. I also darkened up the house number as well. So that is the mail art envelope for this month at SimonsSaysStamp.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will be back very soon with another video. Until then, thanks for watching.